in Nullagine, Gallop Hall, which I declare open at 10:31 a.m. Council acknowledges the traditional owners for the duration of the meeting. Tablets and laptops are permitted for the purpose of accessing agenda items and notes. I advise all those in attendance that this meeting is being audio recorded, which can be accessed by members of the public media. Can we put that on mute? Yep, cool, thank you. And council members should refrain from making any defamatory statements. This meeting is also being live streamed, a recording of which is available on the Shire's YouTube channel and website. Members of the public are advised that East Pilbara in respect of the application. There's a request to attend the meeting by electronic means which has been received from Councillor Annabelle Landy, which is approved by me as Shire President presiding this meeting in accordance with Regulation 14C of the Local Government Administration Regulations of 1996. 3.1, 2 and 3 is a list of council members, the executive team, the Shire officers, apologies and leave of absence, which has all been captured there. Moving on to item 4, which is disclosures of interest. Are there any disclosures of interest to be made in relation to any of today's agenda items, councillors? Yes, Councillor Gweta-Brooks.
I have an impartiality declaration to make on item. I'm sorry, I've just lost the item. It's the item to do with the Marble Bar Race Club, and it's just in that the CRC. Of which I am chair, has some involvement in the organisation and the back end of the races, but thanking you. I disclose that I have an impartiality interest because I'm the chair of the CRC Community Resource Centre, that is, and that the Community Resource Centre has an arrangement with the race club.
All right, so thank you for the disclosures of interest. We'll move on to 5 declarations by council members to have given.
Mr. President, but I declare that I will consider the matter on its merit and vote accordingly.
Sorry, thank you. Sorry to cut you off. Moving on to item 5, declarations by council members to have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers before this meeting. So, Councillor Gweta-Brooks, please declare.
I have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers before the meeting.
Thank you. Councillor Everett.
I have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business papers before the meeting.
Councillor Chapman.
I have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business paper before the meeting.
Thank you. And Councillor Landy.
I have given due consideration to all matters contained in the business paper before the meeting.
Thank you. I too have given due consideration to matters contained in the business papers before this meeting. So, which leads us on to item 6, where there are nil previous questions taken on notice. Item 7, public question time. So, if you wish to ask a question, please come forward to the microphone and clearly state your name and town you are from for the minutes. You may ask 3 questions. Then there is no further questions from the public. Then you may put further questions to council. No questions from the public. Okay, we'll go on to item 8, petitions, deputations and presentations, where there is nil. 9, applications for leave of absence. Are there any leave of absence requested going forward, councillors? Nope. Excellent. Move on to item 10, confirmation of minutes of previous council meetings. Minutes. 10.1 is the minutes of the OCM held on 30 May 2025 have been circulated and published on the Shire's website, where the recommendation reads that the OCM ordinary and confidential minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on 30 May as published on the Shire's website and council portal will be confirmed as true and correct records of proceedings. A mover, please. Councillor Brooks. Seconder, Councillor Everett. Thank you. Are there any further changes to be made, councillors?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Everett.
Nothing from me, thanks.
Thank you. I shall now go for a show of hands. All those in favour, please. Thank you. Thank you, Annabelle. That is all for and none against. Item 11, members' reports. Council members' written reports will be included in the minutes. Are there any further members' reports for this meeting? Councillor Brooks.
I will forward all my reports through to the minute taker for inclusion in the minutes, but particularly this week I've been at a Pilbara Development Commission meeting as the local government delegate, and I've attended the Pilbara Summit and also I've attended the state budget luncheon meeting in Port Hedland, which was attended by Ministers Carey and Safielty, and I asked a question at that meeting on the subject of housing in small and remote towns, because it would appear that housing is being catered for in our larger towns and cities in this region, but not in our smaller towns at all. And that includes Newman.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Any others? Moving on to item 12.1.1, the new policy, community and commercial tenancies policy. Whereas presented before you, the recommendation reads that Council 1 adopts a community and commercial tenancies policy, attaches Appendix 1, and 2 endorses transitional arrangements that preserve all existing legal arrangements in place at the time of the policy is adopted by Council, which will continue on the terms of those agreements until they expire. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Brooks. Seconder, Councillor Everett. Thank you. Would the mover like to speak?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Councillor Everett.
No, nothing to add, thanks.
Thank you. Any other councillor wish to speak? Thank you. To the vote, all those in favour, show of hands, 5 for, none against. Item is carried. The policy review corporate credit card policy. That offers recommendation reads that Council accepts the review and adopts a revised corporate credit card policy, attaches Appendix 1. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Everett, thank you. Seconder. Councillor Chapman, thank you. Would the mover like to speak?
No further comment.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman?
No thanks.
Thank you. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Thank you. I shall now put this to the vote. All those in favour, please. Yes. Councillor Chapman, are you for this? Yes. Thank you. 5 for and none against. That is carried. We move on to the Community Grants Program 2025-2026, where the officer's recommendation reads that Council 1 approves the 2025-26 Community Grant Funding recommendation subject to Council's adoption of the 25-26 annual budget as listed in the agenda, and 2 authorises the Chief Executive Officer to approve payments under the Community Grant Funding Agreement. Please note that it is understood that the following amendment... Right, that's okay. Can I please have a mover and a second to speak about this one? Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Everett. Would the mover like to speak?
Yes, I'd like to move an amendment, please.
Sure.
As to item 3, in this one, I would like to include that as a condition on the grant, that the grant funding, this is to the Newman Chamber of Commerce Awards, the condition on the grant funding be imposed, providing the Shire the opportunity to speak and or present an award and to promote the Shire's support in the Shire's, using the Shire's promotional material at the award ceremony and in all the promotion associated with it.
Thank you, Councillor Brooks. Councillor Everett, as a seconder, do you support this?
I support that.
You support that? Thank you. Okay, yep. If you can just put that up, please, Josh, so everyone can see it.
And the promotion associated with it, please. promotions and the promotion associated with the awards. Support in the Shire's promotes the Shire's support in the Shire's promotional material. I'll include that we're recognised in the promotion of the awards as well as at the award ceremony, please, and wording to that effect.
Is that as you stated, Councillor Weatherbush? Are you happy with that?
Yes, thank you. That's very good. And just in speaking to that, I'd just like to let council know that the Pilbara Development Commission is also sponsoring these awards to the tune of $5,000, and their expectation is that they will be presenting the award and that their promotional material will be associated with these awards too.
Thank you. Councillor Everett, do you support that motion as written?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Can I just ask the administration question around the, it's a panel style system, and the panel is made up of subject matter experts within the organisation to obviously vet the applications, noting that there is reductions on some of the amounts, which has always been the case.
Yes, so if I can get to this process, so essentially we use the Smarty Grants platform. The applications are all lodged. The panel is an internal panel that we select, and in this particular case, we've got events planning, customer service, so it's a very rounded panel that individually mark the applications as they are seen presented. Then we have a consensus meeting in which they all sit around the table because some might have marked them low or high appropriately. And then they have that conversation around why they marked it high or low. And then they have an agreement on what the number should be and what the support level should be. So we do it independent, then we do it collectively together. Now, some of the numbers have dropped from the ask. That's based around what our experience is on actually being able to run some of these events, for example, and what it really costs as opposed to a number that's been put on a piece of paper, which we know is probably inflated to try to get as much money as possible. What we would rather do is make sure that the outcome, the money that we give, hits the target audience, which is our community, and they get the best interest out of this, and we promote as many products as possible for the interest of our community. That's how it works.
Okay.
I attended the event that we're talking about. I attended that event last year and presented the award on behalf of the Pilbara Development Commission as a board member of the Development Commission. I was concerned, and I don't know what it costs to put on the event and what the venue might have charged or the caterers charged or whatever, but I was concerned that there was an open bar at the event and it detracted from the auspices of the event, of the prestige of the event, in that there appeared to be a large number of people taking full advantage of the open bar, and it detracted from the quality of the event. We had leaders from Rio Tinto there making their first forays into our community, and I just like to consider, and it's not my business at all how this committee runs their event, but as a participant in it, as the Shire, I would love them to have a look at the planning in that event and perhaps make the bar a pay-as-you-use situation, just to make sure that we ensure that the social message that we're promoting is one that it is a prestigious event and we are promoting small business, which is what these awards do so very well.
Okay, so through the chair, this is their event, so they can do as they want, and our only decision is whether we give the money or not. We certainly can put some nice words together that reflect what you're trying to say in relation to we see this as a prestigious event. This is why we're sponsoring you for this event, and on that grounds we'd prefer it to be done in a certain way, but your call. We can find some words to say that without being too specific, if that helps.
Thank you. Thank you. I would love them to have that message, but I also want them to have the message that as a group, I feel that the council does support this event because it promotes small business, and small business working with our big businesses is what makes our town go round. It's what employs our mums and dads and keeps our towns vibrant and exciting places to be.
We can do that.
Thank you, CEO. Is there any other comments? I just have one around the cricket clubs one. So the application states around running the organisation for the year, and I note that it's reduced in half by what was the ask. Assuming that's because it's running an event where all organisations, not-for-profit and sporting groups, would have the same requirements, I guess. So. May that have had something to do with the reduction by half?
I can't answer for the exact reason. I mean, I did see it in the consensus meeting, but I don't recall exactly why they come up with half. I think they felt that we should support the local club. They didn't, because given that the submission received said the total project cost was $44,800. It was a percentage of, at least they were contributing. It was just a feeling that the committee had that they thought that was probably around the right number by way of support. Apart from that, really, I can't really add any more. Just trying to encourage kids and clubs to grow and develop. That was really it. In terms of the overall budget for grants, there's still funds that we've allocated that aren't going to be distributed on because there's a lack of applications. So again, they had free will when they were making these decisions around what they thought was a reasonable number to give to the community as opposed to a restriction on available funds. So just for the record. So really, apart from that, I can't give too much more detail.
All right, thank you, CEO. Just one last comment from me. I guess it's all about sorry.
I just want to comment on our junior, particularly junior sporting clubs, but across all of our voluntary participation clubs. Again, those small clubs are the ones that make the fabric of our communities, and it's important that we support them, but it's also important that we don't take a precedent of becoming the parent of those clubs and backing all of the funding. I think, a strong club is built by its members determining that they need to raise funds and being creative in raising those funds. And I certainly agree with that panel's decision to lower the amount that they are sponsoring from the requested amount, because it does help foster that creativity and drive amongst the club.
Yeah.
So, I certainly support that panel in doing so. Thank you.
The only other further comment I would make, I know definitely in Newman, volunteerism is very, very difficult. So if this helps them through a sticky patch, I think your message is loud and clear that there is ways of getting funds, and there's certainly support. The veterans football match that's normally held this time of the year isn't happening this year. And the only reason that isn't happening is because of lack of volunteers to coordinate and organise that event. So we have had this struggle for a number of years, but this year is starting to show a few lines where the results we don't have the event. So that's the spirit in which I think this has been done. But again, it's a council decision.
Excellent, thank you. I do note that this is a great program, as stated by yourself, CEO, and obviously Councillor Werder-Brooks, around the benefit to the community overall, and does it in many fashions. So, and obviously the subject matter experts have done their due diligence. So, thank you for that.
Can I just make an aside comment about volunteering, please? It concerns me that the Wets Football can't stand up that event because of a lack of volunteers. they might like to have a conversation with the Community Resource Centre, and I declare I have an interest in the Community Resource Centre at Marble Bar, because the Community Resource Centre has caused the Race Club to have a group of, at this stage, as of yesterday, 17 volunteers who are not locals to Marble Bar. They're caravanners coming through at this time of the year. And those people have been mustered into the volunteer crew, and they are helping to stand up the Marble Bar races, because we do not have enough volunteers in our small and ageing population.
Good initiative. Thank you very much. Yep. Yeah, that being said, any further comments on this one? Excellent. I now put 12.1.3 to the vote. All those in favour, please. Thank you. 5-4 and none against. That item is carried. Now, before we move on to the next item, we have got some questions from the kids in attendance today. Unfortunately, they didn't feel comfortable stepping up, but I'll ask a question on their behalf. And the question from the kids is, when will the pool expected to be open and ready? They were told last year when they asked the question last time. Please inform us.
I'll let Ethan answer the question, but I will say this. We did say Christmas, we just didn't say which Christmas. As a starting note, and look, we have had many challenges getting supplies to do certain components, but I'll let Ethan give you the good news when we're expecting to open the pool. Over here.
Thank you, CEO. All right, well, we're hoping that you will see a pool available or fully constructed at the middle of September this year. And then we have, because of the, you know, the caliber of the pool that Nullagine is getting, we need the approval and inspection of Department of Water and Environmental regulations. That might take a week or 2 or 3. So sometime during October, we're hoping to be completely finished with it and be able to open. Is that correct? That's good.
And we'll have a very big opening when that happens. It should be fantastic.
October, that is, kids, October. And I have been asking on your behalf over the last 12 months, I'd have you know. If you go back to our YouTube channel, I have been asking. So I'm keen to go for a swim like you guys are. Thank you very much for your question. We'll move on to 12.1.4, the Marble Bar Race Club sponsorship application 2025-26, where the officer's recommendation reads that Council 1 approves the 25-26 sponsorship grant funding recommendation for the Marble Bar Race Club 2025-26 sponsorship application for funding. 2, authorise the funding of $10,000 excluding GST for the application to be allocated from the 2024-25 annual sponsorship budget, noting the application cannot be considered in the 2025-26 financial year, as the event takes place prior to the special meeting at the council, at which council will consider the 25-26 annual budget. And 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to approve the payment under a sponsorship grant funding agreement. So, can I get a mover, please? Yep, Councillor Everett. And a seconder, please. Yep, Councillor Chapman. Thank you. Would the mover like to speak?
No, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman as a seconder, would you like to speak?
No, thanks.
Thank you. Can I just ask, is there any other questions? Just a query. Was this grant submitted late, or like the event's only next week? I'm just trying to work that out. What's the go?
It was on time. The issue is when the grant's actually closed, in terms of the application for consideration this time round. That's my understanding. Want to comment?
Yeah, so if I can confirm, the grant was not submitted late. However, due to it was assessed with all of the other grants that are related to the previous item. However, because of the timing of the budget adoption, we also needed to ensure. So that's why there's a separate resolution in relation to this particular item. And it actually is often the case for events that take place in the month of July. It becomes quite an interest better moving forward, but it is a common issue for July-based events.
And I think the other issue, and the reason that we've framed it in the way we have, is we're adopting the budget in mid-July as opposed to today. If it had been today, no concern, it just would have gone through. We've separated it out.
Question as to why it wasn't incorporated with the other one, but makes all sorts of sense there, and can be assumed that may have been submitted late. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. Any other questions? Nope. Shall now put 12.1.4, the Marble Bar Race Club sponsorship application 2025-26 to the vote, please. All those in favour? 5 for and none against. That is carried. Thank you. Moving on to 12.1.5, the status of council decisions, where the officer's recommendation that we note the report. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor McWhirter-Brooks. Seconder? Councillor Everett. Councillor McWhirter-Brooks, you wish to speak?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Everett is the seconder.
No, nothing to add.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? No. Thank you. Put it to the vote. All those in favour, please, for 12.1.5 is 5 for and none against. That is carried. Thank you. 12.1.6, amendment to delegations and authorisations register tenders for goods and services. That, as presented before you, the officer's recommendation reads that Council 1, pursuant to section 5.42 and section 5.46, the Local Government Act 1995 adopts Appendix 1 to this report as an amendment to the Shire of East Pilbara Register of Delegations and Authorisations, and 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to publish to publishers the updated register of delegations and authorisations. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor McWhirter-Brooks. Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Everett. Councillor McWhirter-Brooks, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, is this the one where we're looking for the authority for the $500,000, anything up to $500,000 or over $500,000? Yeah, I've just got a problem with that. I don't think we are that inaccessible, even though we are remote, that the CEO can't call a special meeting if we've got a tender of size that needs to go through and is sensitive to timing. I don't think we really need to give the CEO that authority. When we look at other shires and other local government authorities, they don't necessarily have given their CEO that authority. So I think we just need to show that we know what's going on. Keep it, you know.
Through the chair, just to assist, this isn't in relation to the award of tenders. This is in relation to the invitation for. So we have, so in the event that as part of the tendering process, we have an internal process where we prepare all of the paperwork to go out to tender. So we would invite tenders for at the moment, say the wastewater treatment plant. Now, under the, we've been operating, and we've put this report up because we identified that we had a defect in our delegations, but the calling of those tenders we've treated as an administrative exercise, so that it doesn't commit us at all to actually awarding or progressing. Council still has the power, and the authority is the only one who has the authority to award, so to enter the contract. This is merely going to the market and saying we're inviting those tenders. So it's in our view, it's an administrative thing, and it's an oversight that it was not in the delegation. We've been doing this without coming back to council, and so this is to correct that. It is likely, that if we required a council resolution to invite a tender over 500,000, that would slow the thing down, even if a special meeting were called. But that was the recommendation.
Thank you for that clarification, because I actually read it the same as yourself.
Yeah, I know. My apologies if I have obviously misread it. So, yeah. So thank you, because that certainly clarifies the issue. And I withdraw any objection that I have to it or amend.
And can I just say, without contributing to debate at all, that I think that's why the oversight took place, because it. In our view, it seems it seems a little bit beyond the brief of it's not beyond the brief, but it's being an administrative exercise. It's something that we have always treated it as an operational matter, and which is why I imagine that you've made that mistake that you did then. So.
I think it was easily identifiable because I was under that impression. So,
Yeah, I was under the misapprehension as well, so, yeah. And, I'm quite happy with the explanation.
excellent. No dramas. So you're happy as per the recommendation written?
I have nothing to add.
Same.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to add? Okay, noting that this is an absolute majority decision of council. So please show of hands. All those in favour? 5 for and none against. That is carried. Thank you. 12.1.7, the invitation of public submissions regional price preference policy. The officer's recommendation reads that Council 1, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to give statewide public notice to Council's intention to have regional price preference policy Appendix 1 to this report. 2, delegates the powers of regulation 24E to local government functions and general regulations 1996 to consider all submissions that are received in relation to the proposed policy, and if no changes to the proposed policy are recommended, formally adopts the policy on Council's behalf. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Magweta-Brooks. Seconder, Councillor Everett. Councillor Magweta-Brooks, you wish to speak?
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Councillor Everett.
Also nothing to add, thanks.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to speak? Nope. This is an absolute majority as well. A show of hands, please. All those in favour? That's 5. So it's 5 for, none against. Is carried. (12.2.1) monthly financial statements, insurance and investment report as at 31 May 2025. The Council adopts the monthly financial statements in the period ending 31 May 2025 of the 2024-2025 financial year, included as appendices 1 and 2 to the report. Mover, please. Councillor Magweta-Brooks. Seconder, Councillor Everett. The mover like to speak?
No, thank you.
Councillor Everett.
No, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Show of hands, please. All those in favour? It's 5 for, none against. 12.2.1 is carried. List of accounts 12.2.2, where the officer's recommendation reads that Council endorses the following payments for the period of 1 to 31 May 2025, itemised in confidential Appendix 1. EFT payments 7 mil, 861,671 dollars 91 cents. Mastercard $22,625 15 cents. And cheque payments nil. Direct payments $1,830,591 dollars 56 cents. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Magweta-Brooks. Seconder, Councillor Chapman. Thank you. The mover like to speak?
Nothing to add.
Councillor Chapman, do you wish to speak?
No, thanks.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else wish to speak? Just waiting for me notes. 1 second. One second. All right, that's all. Thank you. Cool. I'd now put that to vote, please. All those in favour for 12.2.2? Thank you. 5 for and none against is carried. 12.3.1, the new policy, Madu Milli Wills and Estates. Officer's recommendation reads that Council adopts a Madu Milli Wills and Estates policy attached to Appendix 1 to the report. Mover, please. Councillor Magweta-Brooks. Seconder, Councillor Everett. Thank you. The mover like to speak?
I have a question, please. How much money do we have unresolved in estates of our artist, please?
Thank you very much for the question. I'll take on notice the exact amount, if that's okay, Councillor Magweta-Brooks.
Yeah.
However, what I can advise you is that we have actually been working through these matters very well, and we are making regular beneficiary payments. So in actual fact, it's not that there are now a large amount of unclaimed monies. We have a process in place where when artwork sells, so we can have cases where an artist may be deceased, but some of their works may still attract royalties after that point, particularly where there have been reproduction licenses, and in other cases artworks will sell. What happens in those cases now is that that money is then actually paid to their beneficiaries on a quarterly basis. There are a small percentage where we have issues where accounts might bounce or that type of thing, and I understand that there's about $9,000 in an account that we're just working through to get updated bank account details, but we are not holding large amounts of money at all for that purpose.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Everett, the seconder.
Name Bulford.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak?
Hey,
Yes.
you got those three more buildings out in the community there. Muddermill building, Muddermill Art Centre. Are you building those Muddermill Arts in those three communities?
Can I just confirm that that question was in relation to art sheds in the three, analyse the designs, and also has a MOU that has...
And certainly we are looking for a QS, so, quantity surveyor to work out what it would cost, because at the moment they're proposing 3 art centres and 4 houses or accommodation at 2 of the sites. We want to see if we can get them at 3 sites. What the real number is, look at the grant amount that's been given, and then probably chase a little bit more money to make sure to get 6 houses and have it at the 3 different sites. That's where we are at the moment. As soon as we've got the detailed design, I guess, and the valuations sorted out, then we're going to move forward. The idea, though, is very simply that they would build them under the grant that was provided by the federal government at the completion, and we would work through with them on the way through, given that we would want the building to be serviceable and maintainable for the long term. Once that occurs and the buildings are finished, they would be handed over to council to manage for the future as an extension of our Muddermill operations, keeping in mind that we already have sheds in these communities, but I would say they're sheds and they're not fantastic. So that's the background behind that. But I have signed the MOU. It's only in principle agreement at this point in time before we actually get to the end of it, which would need to do a more formal deed at that time to get those transferred to council.
Councillor Landy's got a question.
I got a question about so when they're going to start for them art centres to build in the 3 desert communities, because there's an issue in Bunwell, Cotton Creek, about if you heard about it.
Yep.
Permit.
So I understand, and we're staying right out of those issues, Councillor. But I think the intention is to start at the other locations first, while internally any issues at Bunwell can be resolved or sorted out. So we're staying away from those, but we would start with the other 2 first, is my understanding, while JAC sort out what they want to do with the Bunwell situation. But I'm giving you the in principle position. The detail, which is the detail you're talking about, Annabelle, I'm leaving that to the CEO at JAC to resolve.
Yeah, that's good, because the other 2 communities are really open for, because I heard, because I went to Punmo and because we couldn't go to Bunwell. Well, that's good if the other 2 communities is really open for anything like that. Until JAC sort that things Bunwell, whenever, and they can go and build that art centre then for people in Bunwell. If everything gets sorted out.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other comments on this one? Oh.
Only
Yes.
that PDC have been very active in securing funding for this project and have been working with Lotteries Commission and government to make sure that this goes ahead as part of their arts strategy within that. So that's where they weigh into it as your conduit to state government.
Yes, so we have certainly raised this with PDC. I did ask for lazy 5 million because I think that's probably what we're short. Will be confirmed when we get the QS report what the shortfall is, but my guess is that given the location, it will be a bit more expensive to build. So, yeah, we have sort of certainly flagged it with PDC into their current strategy how we get access to that money.
Excellent, thank you. No more comments. I'll put 12.3.1 to the vote, please. The new policy for Martin Millie Wills and Estates. All those in favour, please. 5 for, none against. That is carried. Moving on to 12.3.2, the corporate business plan. Recommendation reads that Council notes the corporate business plan progress report as attached as Appendix 1. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor McGuirter-Brooks. Seconder, Councillor Everett. Thank you. Councillor McGuirter-Brooks, you wish to speak?
Oh, nothing to add.
Councillor Everett.
No, nothing to add. Thanks.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak? I've got some comments. So good work on that. It's looking good. I challenge that there is no red in that plan at all. And I like a healthy challenge. I don't expect comment now, but I expect a fair and just process around that. But I question that some of them would be read. And one, maybe the press is brought up multiple times every week by community members and business owners. And for it to be, I think it's orange in there, I'd like to challenge the overall number of no reds.
Okay, look, and look, the industrial land. So can I say that if it's in progress, it's in progress. We're not saying it's completed or pushing on. It comes down to what we've actually indicated those things actually mean. So is the overall progress stalled, out of our control? We could look at how we actually measure that. Leave that with us. We'll take that on board. But in terms of what we're doing, it's in the orange. It's still in progress. It's still ongoing. Green is completed. We're not saying that is complete. It's a long way from complete. And it's going to take around what you're saying.
I just think when we put this out to the community with no reds in there, that means we are kicking every single goal, and our constituents, our business owners, everyone is absolutely happy with every single thing we're doing. I beg to differ.
Okay, we'll have a look at how we.
But I don't know how
traffic light. I mean, I think we'll have a look at it. There might be two columns here. One is the column that we're still going and it's in progress, and the other would be the outcome. Maybe that's another thing we could look at. We'll have a look at that. I understand the message that we're giving to the community as opposed to the fact that we are still progressing on these things, still working through it, and they're done over a number of years. But what's the message we're sending to the community in our traffic light? Taken on board, we will look at that. No problem at all.
I think it's easily misleading because a lot of people want,
Agreed.
the old quick glance, and if they're glancing at it and flicking through and going, everything's green and orange, where are my rates going per se?
Perhaps it's the whites where there's no action just yet that need to be read. Because it doesn't mean you're moving in a negative, a red light doesn't mean negative direction. To me, it says it's stopped.
No, look. Let's have
whites in there, nothing's happening.
Let's have a really good look. Yeah, but some of these aren't due till the following year. That's why they're white. So let's look at the traffic light system so that I understand what you're saying. The message that we're sending to the community, we might be working really hard on it. And so from our point of view, it's an orange or yellow, whatever. But in terms of have we got the outcome yet? Well, it is a red. And maybe it's out of our control. We can document that, but we'll come up with that. Maybe it's another line of impacts column. We're working really hard, but we still haven't got there. Right?
Yeah, because
we'll have a look at that.
Because reds aren't a fail per se. It's just a hurdle, and then we can progress to move on from there.
We'll have a look at how we report that in the future. All good.
That's my comments on that one. Is there any other further comments?
That's a good comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. So no more comments. I'll now put 12.3 to the vote. 12.3.2, the corporate business plan to the vote. All those in favour, please. Councillor Chapman, are you in favour? Thank you. 5-0 for against. That is carried. We move on to 12.3.3, the new policy managing unreasonable behaviour by customers. Recommendation reads that council adopts managing unreasonable behaviour by customers policy attached as Appendix 1 to the report. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor McWhirter-Brooks. Seconder, please. Councillor Everett. Councillor McWhirter-Brooks.
Just to register my disappointment with society in general, that we need a policy that tells us how we deal with people who do not know how to use their manners.
I concur.
I just am sad that if it's their parents that haven't been able to give them guidance, if the society in itself is not able to give them guidance, is this what we would call a woke community, or is it just what we call an irresponsible community? I have to endorse it because we need it, but I am very disappointed that it occurs at all.
Okay, and look, we had some debate, discussion around what this looks like and the purpose of it and the triggers there too. And essentially everybody in community has a right to have a voice and a complaint or an explanation of something so that they understand why they can get it, or thank you for letting us know so we can address that issue type opportunity. This is really, because we have two obligations. We have one to the community at large from a customer service point of view. We have another obligation in relation to the OSH and the mental health of our people and the fact that they shouldn't be barraged unreasonably, particularly repeatedly. So we have put in this policy very clearly that the ultimate final decision is the CEO's decision, as opposed to someone lower down the organisation who's going, no, you should have to put up with that, that's done. There will be documentation that will clearly state this person does need to be treated in a certain way, and I'm hoping, very much hoping, we never have to use this policy. But it can crop up, and you'll know when you go on the plane nowadays, they go, be nice to our staff, and they all say it, wherever you are. There's a reason for that. They're saying that we will not tolerate bad behaviour. This just reinforces that. At the end of the day, though, we're very conscious of the fact that everybody has a right to complain and be dissatisfied with something, so we can have a discussion about it. Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Everett as a seconder.
Well, I endorse the comments of Councillor McWhirter-Brooks and also know the frustration personally of dealing with this sort of customer, and glad to see there's some form of address for that now. So, yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? Two from me, I concur. Let's move on. Thank you. Put that to vote, please. All those in favour of this policy? 5-4, none against. Thank you. It's carried. What is this world coming to? 13, there's nil committee reports. 14, there's nil motions for which previous notice has been given. There was also nil questions by members which due notice has been given. 16, new business of an urgent nature introduced by a decision of council. So one late item is 16.1, the request for commitment, for comment, sorry, not commitment, comment, section at 91 Land Administration Act 1997, application Australia Renewable Energy Hub, is a report for council to consider as a request for comment relating to section 91 licence application under Land Administration Act 1997. So I move that council consider the item 16.1 as new business of an urgent nature. Can I get a seconder, please? Councillor Everett, thank you. Look, I guess there's a fair bit of information in there to come at the last minute. We got a brief summary of what that is, and
I'll get Rob to give you some.
Just just through the chair, this is a procedural motion. The substantive motion will come next. So, sorry, this question is whether we consider the item, and if the council votes yes, then you will go into the discussion of the report.
okay.
Yeah, so you've got a mover and a seconder. You'll need to get that moved. So.
Yeah, and that question is whether the report be considered or not. And if the council decides yes, we'll accept this as urgent business, then you'll have a mover and seconder to consider the report.
All right. Yep. I guess my comments still stand. I mean, it's late moment come through. Councillor Everett, as a seconder, what is your thoughts, mate? Please.
I reckon it's, we should go ahead with it.
Should go ahead.
Yeah.
Cool. Any other comments?
I'd like to move to defer the motion, please.
Can I perhaps just get Rob to speak to why we've made this urgent, why we requested as an urgent
Why is it
item,
urgent?
as opposed to moving it, pushing it back, as we certainly, it was discussed. Rob, would you want to just talk to the urgency from their perspective of the application?
Thank you, Shire President. CEO and Shire President. Councillors, I think if I may just explain firstly what a Section 91 licence under the Land Administration Act is. It's simply a licence that allows the state of Western Australia to provide a proponent access to Crown land. So it doesn't allow them to use the land, it doesn't allow them to surpass any obligations required for approval from the Shire. It's simply access to the land in a legal sense. So Australian Renewable Energy Hub, and I've been advised that they made a presentation to Council some months ago, it's basically BP.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Is seeking to establish a long-term wind and solar energy supply power system. It's intending to progress stages before reaching its operational capacity. The intent of the Section 91 is to allow for preliminary assessments. So basically to necessary soil samples, to bring in the experts to determine whether the land is accessible or not. I think the important part of this one is it is a request which has been brought up. Our preference was to take it to the July meeting, but we were specifically asked by the Australian BP's representatives and DPLH to bring it forward to this meeting because they need a consent from the state before the 1st of July. Wow. Now that relates back to other arrangements they've had in place in relation to other approvals, and hence in conversation with the CEO we felt that it would be something that from a staff point of view there is nothing necessarily untoward about the request. It would come to the meeting in July as a supportive matter. But as I say, because of other outstanding issues, and I guess because we want to be a organisation that is supportive of development such as this, in terms of at least progressing it to a final stage, that we saw no reason why it wouldn't be referred as a late item. This only came in last week, I should say. Thanks.
So I appreciate the comments. It still bamboozles me that their priority has now become ours. They should have done their due diligence, and I'm happy to say it, they should have done their due diligence prior to send it out last week and need a decision by July.
Look, from an administration point of view, we are in Council's hands on this. Certainly, the questions that we did discuss in the office is, okay, what does that mean? Because in relation to what they're doing there, it's exploratory work is what they're doing. It's just a normal process. They're going to put a helicopter pad there. They're going to have fuel there. So they're going to have all the planning and regulatory requirements for fuel buffers and so forth. If you defer this, which is fine, it can be deferred. That was their preference, but we can certainly defer this to the special or the end of the month council meeting. That's a question for council. And we can give you more of a briefing on what that looks like, but probably it's just really going to be going through the detail that we have in the report currently, just for your interest. Happy to do that. There's no issue from our point.
I acknowledge that, and I acknowledge the work the administration's done and said there's nothing untoward with this. All I want to do is make comment that they need to do their due diligence and get their act into gear, and their priority should not become ours at the last minute.
Yeah, I concur completely. There is no reason why this should come to us as a late item other than it was delivered to us late. I've skim-read it now, but I would like to understand everything that is presented to us, unless it is something of an emerging, urgent nature. This is not urgent.
Can I make this?
Except for their, for their ruling. I hear on the street that this is an on-again, off-again project, although they have engaged a large number of staff and they're very active in their heritage surveys, in their environmental surveys and their clearance of the land that they're working with, and their work with the people who are the traditional owners in that area is ongoing. So the company is and the project continues on, but this isn't something that should have just popped up.
Like, so this is, from their point of view, this is also a procedural box they have to tick to move forward. Look, to give this more time, and maybe we can go through this in a bit more detail. And I take your point about the timeliness. We hummed and hard whether this should come through as an emergency item, to be honest. But we thought, well, okay, we can, because it is a bit. The result is that this is going to keep exploring. I do understand it's got some very good, strong backing, this project. So I think it's just a very long-winded approval process, doing their homework, getting the details, doing the testing, and making sure it all lines up. This is part of that process. So we can, if it pleases the council, defer it. It's your call. And maybe do something at the workshop, go through the detail if you so wish.
I think the problem I have is that they need to have a very strong message from us, not to bring us matters that are their compliance at the very last minute.
I can
Now,
do that.
if that means that we should write to them and send them a very strong message, I'd be very happy to put this through in this instance and then to send them a very strong message. But I'm not happy to just put the issue through without comment.
100%.
Look, we, and through the chair, what we do, we have regular meetings. I can very strongly, apart from putting it in writing, which we can also do and shall also do, voice that opinion with them. Or we do, in fairness to them, they do try and have meetings with us as regular as they can as they're progressing things, but happy to send that message through loud and clear. And certainly there's been other times where we have made it very clear that I can't make a decision on that one today. We'll need to think about the bigger implications and on other matters that relate to this development. So certainly we can make that message very loud and clear to them, Councillor.
Thank you.
Sorry, if I may, with respect, we don't know who necessarily has sought the reduced time frame for assessment. It might not have been the applicant, it might have been the department, or it just may be how things determined. But yeah, we don't know why we requested to give we'll have a lesser period of assessment. If I may, I think when we do review our delegations, I would assume that this would be the sort of matter which would be a delegated position, because effectively it's simply allowing the state to allow access to land. It doesn't prevent any other assessments or Shire approvals. So that's just an observation, if I may. Thanks.
Yeah, so thanks for that. Sorry, Councillor Everett.
Yeah, I believe this company does have access and approvals for certain activities on this land, and like Rob said, it may not be the company themselves that have caused the problem. And what would be the outcome if we do defer it?
Yeah, look, I'm not about deferring it. I just think that it's their, I don't know, lack of due diligence or process to stall and then want an outcome, to me, shouldn't sit in our hands at the last minute. That's all I'm saying. I'm not about not progressing it, but I think they need to understand wholeheartedly that next time this may be a different outcome.
Yeah, I agree. It's not our business to defer the process of government or the process of regulation, but I don't want to be taken for a fool that we're just the rubber stamp. And that was my initial reaction to this, to receiving this at such a late date, is to go, oh well, we're being taken as as the patsies at the end of the line. But if it's just a case of, if we can make a delegation in future for this, let's bring that to council and make that delegation and just send these things through the administrative process and it doesn't hold anybody up.
So, but look, guys, we'll certainly voice your position, which is not necessarily just yours alone, to be honest. It's something that we've certainly been pushing through, but we'll certainly make sure that that's very clear.
Yep, I'm happy with that. As the mover. Sorry, where'd it go, Josh? Sorry? Okay, cool. Where the motion is that, 1, council considers item 16.1 as new business of emergent nature, and 2, authorise the CEO to write to the Department of and applicant expressing the council's disappointment at the short term which council has been asked to consider this matter. Yep, look, it probably won't go anywhere, right, but at least somewhere.
Can we foreshadow some work, as number 3, can we foreshadow some work to create a delegation that items of this sort of nature, whether it is just process of government that we need to approve, that are not threatening at all to our local government authority, that we should, the CEO should have the authority to delegate that through to the regulatory officer?
Well, instead of authorise, maybe it should be that council create, put a proposed delegation through to council for consideration on. Yes, absolutely.
Microphone. Wendy, microphone.
I'm sorry, yeah, no, certainly. That we request, that council requests the presentation of a draft delegation, etc.
In relation to matters similar in nature.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
No problems.
I just think we need to have a strong point
Very
on
much.
that, because it can be the perception that they're trying to push something through quickly. So appreciate the administration's due diligence and the comments around nothing untoward, but yes.
I'm very happy that this matter has come to this conclusion where we've improved our process.
Thank you. Excellent. Any more comments on this one?
So I think you still got to
Before I go to the vote,
Josh, I think we're not.
we got to vote on it first.
But just, this is the motion as it stands. It's been accepted by the mover and seconder as 16.1. If it passes, then the council consider the actual report.
Sorry, because we spoke too quickly or got directed by the CEO too quickly to Rob, we didn't do a vote for that to actually be discussed.
So yes, but that is right. So, however, this motion in its current form is okay. Like, it's still a substantive motion, so we can, as amended on the screen. That is acceptable. So basically, we're saying, right, we will accept this as urgent. Urgent business. But we want to tell the department and the applicant that we're not terribly happy with the timing, and that we'll authorise the CEO to prepare some draft delegations. So you pass that, and then you can consider whether or not to accept the officer recommendation to not object to the.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah. Right, happy with that? Righto. So this is for 16.1, yeah? Right. So we didn't vote on the business of urgent nature coming in, is my concern. Okay, cool. All right. So all those in favour of this? Show of hands, please. Yeah. So I was the mover and Councillor Everett was the seconder. Happy with that, Councillor Everett? Yep. And Councillor Landy, can you please show of hands? Are you in favour? Yes, thank you. 5 for and none against. Thank you. So that's all done, yes? Do we have to then go through 16.1? There's 16.1. Yes. So the request for commitment, section 9.1, Land Administration Act 1997, application Australia Renewable Energy Hub, where the officer's recommendation reads what we just had up on the screen. Josh, that's correct, yes? Thank you. So, please, well, sorry, I'm the mover, seconder, Councillor Brooks. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favour?
Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favour? Show of hands. Yes, thank you. All for, none against. (17) Confidential matters behind closed doors. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please, that items 17.1.2, the proposed lease Bloodwood Tree Association Incorporated, 17.1.1, proposed sublease Muzbuzz Corporate Services, 17.2.1, the request to write off outstanding debts, 17.2.2, request to write off outstanding sundry debt, infrastructure services, 17.3.1, authorisation of purchase order concreting and rock pitching Nullagine Aquatic Centre of the agenda be dealt with behind closed doors in accordance with section 5.232 of the Local Government Act 1995. Councillor Everett is the mover. Seconder, Councillor Brooks. All those in favour, please. Thank you. 5 for, none against. We are moving into the closed session. The live stream will be paused. The decisions made by Council in the consideration of these items will be made available publicly following the closed session and will be published within the minutes of the meeting for your information. 53. And the meeting is now reopened to the public. Can the government staff please confirm that live streaming has recommenced.
Yep, it is back on.
For the benefit of those watching on the live stream, item 17.1.2, the report titled Proposed Lease Bloodwood Tree Association Incorporated recommendation that Council 1 approves a proposed lease between the Shire Bloodwood Tree Association Incorporated for a term of 1 year commencing 1 July 2025 with an option for one further term of 1 year from 1 July 2026. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to approve the extension of the lease for a further term of 1 year from 1 July 2026. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to execute the agreement on behalf of the Shire of East Pilbara, which passed 5 in favour and 0 against. The item 17.1.1, the proposed sublease of Muzbuzz. The Council 1 approves a proposed sublease between Muzbuzz, Dio Ringi and Cody Davis. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to approve the sublease expiring on 31 May 2027 and then further term of 2 years commencing 1 June 2027 expiring on 31 May 2029. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to execute the agreement on behalf of the Shire of East Pilbara, which passed 5-0. Item 17.2.1, the request to write off outstanding rates. The Council approves the rates write-off for the list of assessment in Appendix 1 for the total value of $6,985.50, which passed 5-0. Item 17.2.2, the request to write off outstanding sundry debtor. The Council writes off the balance of $362,991.75 owed by sundry debtor Virgin Australia Holdings Limited in settlement of all claims. 5-0. And 17.3.1, the authorisation of purchase orders concreting and rock pitching Nullagine Aquatic Centre. The Council 1 authorise a purchase order to be issued to Civil Site Support for an amount of $816,084 excluding GST for the construction of concrete ramps and rock pitching works at Nullagine Aquatic Centre. 2, delegates authority to the Chief Executive Officer to enter into an agreement with the Civil Site Support and approve the purchase order, which also passed 5-0. These decisions will be incorporated into the minutes of today's meeting and published on the Shire's website for all our community and general public to be confirmed at the 25 July 2025 Ordinary Council meeting, which is item 18. The date of the next meeting is 25 July 2025, which will be held in Punmu community. With the closure being under 19, that there be no further business, I now declare the Shire of East Pilbara Ordinary Council meeting in Nullagine of June 27 June 2025 closed at 11:56 a.m. I'd like to thank council members and staff for their attendance. Thank you.